keep moving, I keep pushing myself. But believe me, every minute the thing will come and ask you. Every time you have difficulty in breathing, the thing will come and ask you. Every time you fell down, or you are falling down, or you are going through a process of suddenly your heartbeat jump, the question, what are you doing here? Oh my God, it's so scary holding the rope and looking down, and you have to cross and waiting when is the ice going to fall from the top.
Hi, today we welcome Mr. Ravi, or fondly known as Ravi Everest, who has made it up to the highest peak not just once, but 3 times, flying our Malaysian flag high on Mount Everest. So welcome to Kanye Studio, Mr. Ravi.
Hi.
Okay, so thank you for your visit. So we are just eager to know about your story, about your all the mountaineering experience. So 3 times scaling Mount Everest. First time in 2006, 2007, and then recently this year. So can you tell us, how was the experience different from one another?
First time when we're doing something, the experience is more, scary, learning, lots of learning, and you go through a lot of difficulty trying to pick up technical skill requirement, and also dealing with emotional feelings and so on. So always the first one is always difficult. First one I was doing it on the north side. Being the first Malaysian to conquer Everest from the north side, that was a bit tough for me. Also experience on frostbite, losing fingers, losing friends, and so on. So many setbacks that I go through on the first one. The second one was quite simple. It was on the south side, where actually it's like a normal trail for us from Nepal, where all the facilities are being provided and so on. So the challenges are a bit less. So in 2006 was much more experiencing compared to 2007. But both are different because it's a solo climbing. I climb alone. In this year it's different. I was bringing clients, 2 clients, one Malaysian and one from US to the summit of Everest. So it's a different because you're working as a guide, you're working as a leader, and also you're climbing. But all 3 gives me very deep experiencing, deep learning, and also of course things that happens on every expedition, that is emotional experiencing, where we lose friends, where we have to leave behind people. So that's what mountaineering is all about. It's not just purely satisfaction or excitement. Also we have setbacks that we have to face. And this year also quite special because after Everest, feeling very confident about myself, about my achievement. After 2 weeks rest, I also go and hit another peak which is much more difficult than Everest, that's Mount K2. This experience is totally different. We got Everest north side 206, we got Everest south side 207. This was another solo climb on Mount K2, the most difficult mountain in the world, the most dangerous mountain in the world. This gives me a much more complete experiencing, where danger is at the most. Danger is at the the maximum level, and knowing the fact that you might not come back home, that's a bit scary. But we had a good season this year. We completed Everest 2022 and K2 2022 in 72 days, which is another new record for Southeast Asia. So the whole thing was exciting. Besides finishing 3 Everest, doing K2 and coming back home safely to my family is something that I'm very grateful. I'm not sure who is that outside there or up there, but I feel great when I reach home coming back from Pakistan.
Wow, that's very inspiring. So when it comes to your first climb to Everest, what motivated you to do that at the first place?
Well, at a young age, of course, all of us have desire.
How old were you back then?
30 plus. I was 30 plus at that time, planning to give a boost to my life. Every one of us will have downturn in our life. When I say downturn, means like things becomes very normal, boring, and you're not exciting anymore. Everything that you do becomes ordinary. I believe every one of us will go through this process, and this process is different from each other. Every human being will go through this process, but the experience is a bit different. And I just had a calling to say that, hey, my life was getting boring. I need to do something good about myself. And I started selecting things that I want to do. One of it was mountaineering, because I love nature. So that's why I decided to go into hiking and climbing mountains. And my first experience at 5,300 meters, moving on towards Everest Base Camp. It was a good season where people are all preparing to climb Everest. So I managed to get to know them and find out what is this about and so on. And at the same time, when I was at 5,600 meters on the summit of Mount Kalapata, I could see Everest very close to me actually. So why not I give it a try? That's how the whole thing started.
You were not planning for that first.
No.
You were just for the Everest Base Camp only.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So it was just a simple trek, loving nature, loving mountains. But when you're there, when you see young people, old people, senior old people taking up this challenge, then slowly it inspires me to take up the challenge. I started the ball rolling to announce to the public that I would like to take up this dream of being on the top of Mount Everest and working with everybody, and I just went for it. Of course, during that time, we don't have much available information and also technical knowledge in Malaysia. So it was a big struggle for me, taking up new challenge, taking up new passion in life. But I managed to do it. So 2006 was one of the best year in my life, even though we have setbacks like losing 8 fingers and so on to mountaineering. But being on the summit of Mount Everest inspires not just me, my family, friends, and so on. So everything was working out well in that year 2006. So from that year onwards, I never looked back. I take mountaineering as something that I love, something that I want to go explore more, deeper, and so on.
Wow. For like how many years already your mountaineering journey?
Now I would say from
Would you
if you look at 1995, then you can see it's almost like what 20 plus years. It was something that started slowly. Now I'm into almost 12 months in a year into climbing. Those days I only do 2 months in a year. Now we are professional climber. We work with people, we work with brands, we work with products. So it's like a full-time job for me now when it comes to mountaineering. Other people, we have now plans 3 years ahead, 5 years ahead for others to make other people's dream come true.
So of all the climbs, I mean like of all the adventures, like if you go and choose and rank this climb, which one is your toughest one?
Well, I would say first I thought the first one is always the toughest one, but after finishing Everest 3 times, I realized that Mount K2 is really a killer mountain. I want to read about this mountain, K2. The second highest mountain in the world, standing at 8,600 meters. People talk about death rate. The ratio is very high on K2. Also scared to take up these challenges. No Malaysian have taken up this challenge before. So I was just so confident after my 3rd climb on Everest, after guiding people to the summit of Everest. I was just, something sparked me to take up this challenge. And I went for it. But I had the right positive environment, positive energy, with the right people, all professional climbers all around the world. They were there, we worked together. And on 22nd July, it became reality for me to stand on the summit of Mount K2 and coming back home safely. Now, that's very important. Mountaineering, many people thought it's just reaching the summit. No, it's reaching the summit and coming back to your loved ones safely.
Why people describing that K2 is the most dangerous or toughest one?
When the word K2 comes in, 20 years ago, you feel that this is the highest death rate mountain in the world. So you start building up the momentum. Everybody have fear. 10,000 people can climb Everest, but 200 people climb K2. Then you can see the statistic difference. Everest has been commercialized. All the other mountain has been commercialized. Everything has been made easy, smooth. Free facilities have been provided. All the services are there to guide you to make sure that you reach and come back home safely. But not on K2. How many times do you want to climb Everest before you climb K2? 3 times is enough. 3 times is enough for you to have that confidence to go and take a much more bigger challenges that is K2. So that's how the whole thing started. So I would say the most dangerous mountain is K2. Why? Not just the build-up, not just the promo by all these people saying that K2 is difficult, but being there, going through the process, the journey from Camp 1 to Camp 2 to Camp 3 to Camp 4 and the summit. It was one of my toughest journey. I would say it took me 24 hours to reach the summit and to come back to safely from Camp 3 to the summit and to be back. And it was one of the longest journey I've ever made. All right, on Everest we do 16 hours, but on K2 24 hours. It was one of the toughest. I cried. I have to release in my own suit, so we don't have place to stop and to even urine. So that's how difficult it is, this mountain, because it's always hanging. We are always hanging every corner. So it's not like on Everest. Everest, we got places to release ourselves. When you put all these things into perspective, right, you can see it is more than 3 times much more dangerous than Everest. That is what I went through. I'm not sure about others.
I'm just curious, is there at any point during the climb K2 that you feel like, I made the wrong decision, I shouldn't come?
Usually happens on my first climb on Everest, second climb on Everest. Third one was not really. But the fourth one on K2, there were a few times the thing came back to me, especially moving from Camp 2 to Camp 3, and then from Camp 3 to the summit and return back. But because we have built a very strong, focused mind, a mindset that says that no, I must reach the summit and return back home safely. I keep moving, I keep pushing myself. But believe me, every minute the thing will come and ask you. Every time you have difficulty in breathing, the thing will come and ask you. Every time you fell down, or you are falling down, or you are going through a process of suddenly your heartbeat jump, the question, what are you doing here? It's quite common for everybody who's facing big challenges in life. So that thing will always be there. But because of the environment, the people surrounding who are able to give you or share with you the positive energy that I'm talking about just now, that is actually will help us. That process will help us to bring down our fear. So that's why it's good sometimes to do group activities where people are there to tap your shoulder to say, come, let's keep moving, come, let's keep going. And I had that support, right, with all the professional climbers there. We helped each other and we managed to reach the summit one day in that 2 months of climbing K2. That was on 22nd May. It was my best and biggest team, international team working together to summit and come back home safely.
Wow. Okay, that was your toughest one. So I would say that this is also the most dangerous ones.
Yes. There is a place called Bottleneck. First I thought it was just another bottleneck where traffic jam will happen and so on. So I thought it's okay, that's a vertical section, but actually it's not. This bottleneck goes all the way to 8,000 meter, and then there's a big wall we cannot climb at all, 300 meters high. You can only look at it. Then you have to cross the same icy part, a small part, not even 2-inch part, and you have to cross for about 400 meters to the side. Oh my God, it's so scary holding the rope and looking down, and you have to cross and waiting when is the ice going to fall from the top. That was the most scariest part. They call it the bottleneck crossing. And after that, we have to go up again to the summit. Now that part was a bit smooth because everybody were there hanging, cannot breathe. It was very difficult because it's above 8,000 meters. Crossing never happens on Everest, never happens on any other mountain, only K2. It's very scary. You can see a 2,000 meter drop for almost 300 meters crossing, and with 2,000 meter drop, that is really scary. So this is self-confidence that usually happens in any industry, in anything that we do. Once we start facing the biggest challenge, the other challenges become ordinary. So I believe now Everest for me is ordinary, K2 is very dangerous and very difficult.
Another curious question, on a scale or ratio, so Mount Kinabalu compared to K2, Mount Kinabalu?
Of course, during my 17 years old time, I climbed Kinabalu for the first time. Of course, it was difficult. But at that time, I was young. I was a sportman. I had all the, built to do running and so on. So I didn't realize that Kinabalu was difficult. But as I go day by day, because Kinabalu is where is my second home actually, but it's my first home in mountaineering because this is where I train, this is where I learn about altitude and so on. This way I train people also. Now, I realize that day by day as we get age, it's also getting difficult. It's not easy like before. So it's a difficult mountain, but technically it's not difficult compared to K2. Kinabalu is 4,000 meters, K2 is 8,600 meters. It's just 2 times the height of Kinabalu. But when it comes to a technical skill required, knowledge that you require, it's so much. It's almost 200% much more demanding compared to Kinabalu. That's how you compare. All right. But when it comes to altitude, it's just 2 times. But when it comes to the real mountaineering skill required and knowledge required on K2 is 200 times much more than Kinabalu. That's how I can put it in general comparison.
Okay, then how would you say the most unforgettable one?
Well, it was different. Unforgettable memory in terms of glory, of course, K2 was there. Everest is always there. But I also gone through some very difficult moments in my life when I was trying to summit Mount Manaslu. In year 2012, we had a bad year. We had a big avalanche and I was buried. Few minutes, I thought I'm about to die. I was at Camp 2. We lost about 17 people, died on Camp 3 because the whole avalanche came and big Sarak broke into pieces and at 4 a.m. while we were sleeping. Hit us very badly. 17 people died and in my camp, Camp 2, we were buried. And luckily, we were very lucky. We had the Sherpas, Camp 1. They were with their clients. So they came and rescued us. I will never forget that day. That was one of the most difficult moment in my life where I keep quiet for almost a week. I never talked to anybody because I almost went into a stage where we call it giving up in everything. When you're buried, the more you fight, the more the eyes start to compress you. The more you kick, the more it start to compress you. And the best part about this compress is that the oxygen level also start to reduce. And the breathing became, like from a normal breathing, shouting, asking for help, it became like to that extent. And you know where you get this kind of experience, mostly in the ICUs, in the hospitals and so on. It's not a dangerous mountain, it's an easy mountain, but because of the avalanche. So I will never forget that experience where I have to repeat the climb again in the year 2012. So that is one of the most unforgettable experience because it came to near death, right, near losing my own life. And I will always cherish that moment, not just for the bad things, also for the good things because I believe someone up there is protecting me and making sure that I come back home safely. It's a good thing to know. Great feeling, not just reaching the summit, but also escaping from these kind of tragedies or disaster. It's about 10 minutes for the boys to run from Camp 1 to Camp 2 to support us. But that 10 minutes was some of the most difficult 10 minutes in my life. First, it was fear, it was scary, it was in the dark. At 4 a.m., the first time in your life you're being buried in an avalanche. All this while you only see avalanche, but you never actually inside an avalanche. But being in an avalanche, you're being hit at 4 a.m., not knowing what's happening, not knowing where you are, not knowing where is up and where is down. That was how scary it was. And dark, without any equipment, without any shoe, you get cold very fast. And all you do is just scream and ask for help. And minute by minute you're losing oxygen, even your scream becomes not effective. That moment it's just like people suffering in the water. It's just that I had the oxygen but it was slowly depleting bit by bit. So that's how scary it was, 2012. And I came back home and it's time for me to review all my big mountains dream. Yes, of course, when you're being hit like this, of course, automatically the first thing that comes to your mind is about review all your dreams, whether it's worthwhile, sacrificing your family and so on. So that's how it was. That's an unforgettable experience.
Because I realized that you also had frostbite before that you lose your fingers.
That was during my 2006 where I have to do a little bit of promo on the summit, work for the national TVs and so on. So it's part of the work that I have to do. But my fingers were overexposed And coming down time, I realized that there was no grip on the rope. They understand that something happened, so we have to wait 6 months. I come back to Malaysia. I waited for 6 months for me to remove all my fingers. So that's how scary it is. But today I'm lucky because I fall under the category of OKU. I managed to get parking right in front of the OKU, and I put my card there. So that's, of course, it's a constant reminder. Hey, next time must be careful and so on. Yeah? But it's exciting to be in a new category of people.
Perhaps the next question is a bit ordinary. I mean, like, but why do you love mountaineering? I mean, like, there's no easy climb, of course. So, what motivates you to keep challenging yourself? And then, I mean, like, considering all the risks, and then the things that you have gone through also, the unforgettable experiences.
Mountaineering gives you lots of pleasure in life, not just view, not just the experience of achieving a certain target in life, but it also gives you a lot of confidence building in life, which I use it in my daily life. For example, you lose your fingers, then you come back, you climb big mountains, you climb Everest, you climb K2. That's something great. For someone to climb Kinabalu, many people have said in the past, hey, you cannot do it, you're too. But if that person reached the summit of Kinabalu, imagine how good they feel about themselves. They feel so great, that they managed to put others, to stop whatever they were saying. It's not the height, it's just that even a small Brogai hill can change you. Even Gasing hill can change someone who feels that, they are not able to do it. But after they reach the summit of Gasing hill, they feel great about themselves. So that's what this mountain is all about. It's making you feel great about yourself. So if you keep climbing again and again, you feel great again and again. And that will make you take up any challenges in life. It helps you to feel so confident about yourself. So that's why I continue with this same process, and I encourage people to do it. But we start from small hills, Gasing and so on. So once they finish Gasing, then they'll be saying, hey, I can do something bigger. Oh, Everest Base Camp. Okay, let's go to Everest Base Camp. Let's go to Kinabalu. So things start moving, and you can see everybody, every day when they call you, right, you know already, this person is confident to take up another challenge in life. That's what we want. That's what we do now, in inspiring people to take up good, big challenges so that they feel great about themselves. Imagine if the whole world feel great, and if you have played a small role, so not just beside climbing for my own self, for me to break records and so on, but also to share our knowledge and our experience to the people, to inspire them, just take up a small task in their life, small target in their life. Yeah? I've been to 8 of the 8,000 meter peaks in the world, 8 times. And every time I go and come back, one of the things that I realize is that you start feeling happy. When lack of oxygen, our brain cells start to decide what is important, what is not important. So it only keeps the important one, all right? And the bad ones are just being locked somewhere. So that's the benefit of the mountaineering and cleansing process.
I see. I also heard you just now, you mentioned you just brought someone 72 years old doing the Everest Base Camp.
We have seen people doing wonders. Of course, now the record in Everest is 80 years old. Japanese, they live up to about 100 years. So to them, 80 is like maybe our age is 50. And bringing someone to the summit of Mount Island Peak, which is 6,200 meters, that was great. He felt great, but he don't know that actually as a guide, we also feel great about their achievement. Because when we help someone to reach their dream, believe me, you get 2 or 3 times much more satisfaction from the individual who reached their dream. And it's so great to see our gentleman, Chris Chiu, I would say still young, at 72, having a good lifestyle, having a proper lifestyle, taking care of himself well, and he pushed himself to the summit of Mount Island Peak, and he did very well. So I hope more Malaysians will take up this kind of challenges, and we hope to see 75 or 80 years old hitting Everest soon.
Okay, so now the last question. So moving forward, what do you wish to achieve in the near future?
Well, of course, we have programs Everest 2023, to bring our first Sabahan, Adelina Lintaga, or Nana, they call it Nana Bunga, her name, to the summit of Mount Everest. Yeah? So that's her project. We are hoping that Sabahans will come forward to support her, and that we can take her to the summit of Mount Everest. Then the second one we are looking at is, of course, 2024 Everest, to invite the public to come and join our Everest program and to get ready to climb Mount Everest. Then, of course, we got the 2025, the Negeri Sembilan team. Yeah, it's planning to climb Everest. They plan to send 5 people to the summit of Everest. That's also in the pipeline. So every year is going to be Everest year. Every year is going to be a great year where we make people feel great about themselves. Beside that, I also have my own Majestic project, 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, where I want to finish all my 14 highest peaks in the world in 3 years. So it's a new project. We hope we'll get support from the public, come in and to support us and so on. Yeah? So it's going to be a solo climb to all these 14 peaks, higher than 8,000 meters, yeah, in the world. So it's a new dream. 2023 will be the start, where I'll finish 5 of the peaks. Then followed by 5 in 2024, and then another 4 in year 2025. But at the same time, of course, Everest will always be there every year. Today I announced the t-shirt that I've done for this project, Project Majestic 1.0, with 5 peaks listed on the t-shirt. Hope that will inspire many others to take up much more bigger challenges in their life. Yeah. So the message is very simple. We use the message, challenge your summit. We want everybody to challenge their summit. It can be a small hill, can be crossing the road, can be taking up any challenges in their life. It can be career path, or can be any other challenges. Yeah, it can be sporting, it can be non-sporting, and so on. But we want people to take up this challenge. Yeah. So that's why the message is challenge your summit.
Wow, it's very meaningful. That's great. Okay, so thank you so much for
And
Mr. Ravi.
it's an honor to
for
be
sharing
here.
this.